Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grid Live Encore. I'm Ben Schneider alongside Brandon Crossland. Brandon, how are things going for you tonight?
You're going well, Ben. It's good to see you again, and hope everything's all right with you as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm thinking of our colleague Josh here. I know it's getting pretty hot over there in the UK. He was talking last week about how hot it was getting. I'm seeing now it's over 40 degrees Celsius, which is quite hot over there. And obviously they don't have AC either, and they're not really built for those kind of temperatures. So we're certainly thinking of Josh and everybody else out there in the UK to stay as cool as possible and stay safe. And hopefully we'll welcome Josh back to the program soon. Of course, it's a lighter week for us, so we don't have him on for Formula 2, Formula 3. We really only have one race to cover in its entirety, and that is the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. And it was Justin Allgaier who won yet again, moving him up to second in points behind AJ Allmendinger in his third win of the season and second of the last four races. Now, Allmendinger has openly admitted recently that consistency has been the 16-team strong suit. That's why he's leading the points. But he does still need to unlock a little bit of speed to challenge for wins on a weekly basis. Of course, his two wins this season have both come on road courses. So, Brandon, with that in mind, should Allgaier be seen as the championship favorite at this particular moment?
Yeah, I think that's a good. Earlier in the season, we weren't thinking the same thing, but Justin Allgaier has definitely solidified himself here after New Hampshire as being a championship favorite. He was kind of already at the beginning of the season being a perennial favorite in the Xfinity Series. It's just something always at the end of the Final Four or the eighth that will mess him up and take him out of the way for the championship. But strong performance at New Hampshire, and overall, Ben, just this weekend in New Hampshire, it's the first time I've really enjoyed an Xfinity Series race in a long time. This race had everything to enjoy all around, and I didn't know New Hampshire was going to bring that sort of excitement, but I really think that's what we got.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice segue into the next topic here. But just to keep it on Allgaier for just a second here, since he won the race, like you were saying, and we just talked, after he won recently this season as well, we were talking about how great he's been in the Xfinity Series and everything. And, it is kind of frustrating, I guess, if you're a fan of his, to watch him continue to have these great seasons and just every season, just comes up just short of making the championship four. He makes the championship four, but can't break through to win the championship at the end. It's looking like this might just be the year. Obviously, this playoff format's so chaotic, you never really know until you get to Phoenix. But, the whole junior motorsports team, we've been talking about how strong they've been as a whole, but Allgaier in particular has really turned it up these last few weeks, and wouldn't surprise me at all to see him hoist the championship trophy at the end of the season. And I guess just to follow up here, like we were talking about, Allgaier's 36 years old, and he's made the Xfinity Series his home now for the last several years. I remember this weekend the NBC guys were talking about, if there is an opportunity for him to move up to Cup, would that be something that he wants to take? And I think it was Jeff Burton. Don't quote me on that for sure, but I think Burton was, or Letarte, one of them was the one that was saying, if you're in Allgaier situation at this point in your life, you probably are enjoying racing on Saturdays, and it's still elite competition that you get to race against. Obviously, it's not Cup, but it's still a great series to make a living in and make your home. So, Brandon, do you think Allgaier would take a Cup opportunity if one came up with a team like Hendrick Motorsports, or do you think he's just happy to finish his career driving for Junior Motorsports and Xfinity?
No, I don't think he would, and I don't think it would be wise to take it because, he's enjoying not only his dominance and his expertise of the Xfinity Series Camaro, he's also enjoying the time he has with his family at home on Sundays. And that was another big point that Jeff Burton, you were correct there. Jeff Burton's the one that brought that up. And that's one of the things he's expressed over in the past at his Victory Lane interviews or front stretch interviews, that he really enjoys the time with his family. And at 36, I don't blame him. That's still really young, but we're talking the Cup Series norm right now. It definitely has switched over the last 20 years from the older to younger side of things. But Justin Allgaier, definitely still a championship favorite. And if all things go his way, he's going to have a great shot there with some other junior motorsports contenders, as well as AJ Allmendinger, having already won at Darlington and Nashville Super Speedway this year. And he's gotten playoff points at several other spots on the calendar as well.
Yeah, I've got to think, he's happy to fill in every now and then for Spire, and obviously When Jimmy Johnson tested positive for COVID at the Brickyard a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, getting called up for that. I think Allgaier's content to just take those opportunities when he gets them. But, in terms of the full-time grind, I don't think he's really probably interested in the Cup Series either at this point. Xfinity, like we were saying, is still a very good championship, very competitive championship to be in. And if you win an Xfinity championship, it says a lot about your driving and your talent. And, I think Allgaier certainly is very happy. I don't see why he'd want to disrupt that. And then there's no guarantee. I mean, if he goes to a midfield level team, if that's the only Cup team, maybe they want him. Maybe they want somebody, who's has his level of experience, but there's no guarantee that he enjoys the same level of success. And I think a lot of times you'd maybe want to be competing for wins and championships in Xfinity rather than being in the Cup Series, but maybe running, 20th or so on a weekly basis. I think you've seen the same thing, ironically enough, with AJ Allmendinger as well. Think of where he was with JTG Doherty versus what he's doing in the Xfinity Series with Colleague. I think he's content to just do a part-time schedule with Colleague and not go back to that grind. So you're probably going to see Allgaier do the same thing as his career continues and closes out.
Yeah, if you're Justin Allgaier, I don't think that kind of lifestyle is attractive to have just spend the rest of your career in a mid-pack team in the Cup Series, or if you want to stay there contending for championships in the Xfinity Series and potentially do what no secondary series driver has done before.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I hope that he continues to get those occasional opportunities. And, we're seeing some collaboration between Junior Motorsports and Colleague already with Noah Gragson this season. Maybe if Colleague continues to do a rotation of drivers in their second car, they bring a third open car out at times. That might be a chance for him to make a couple of Cup starts. But in terms of the full season grind, I think he's content to remain in the Xfinity Series for the foreseeable future. Now, go ahead.
Sorry, it would be cool to see him get at least maybe a Daytona 500 win in a Colleague car. Now that would be that would be a nice little charm for the Cup Series. But anything other than that,
yeah, or even just like a one-off Cup win anywhere, I think that would be a nice little addition to his resume there. But I don't think you're going to see a full-time season out of him anytime soon. Now, circling back to this past weekend, obviously Allgaier, like we said, he got the win. It wasn't without a bit of controversy. Julia Landauer was making her Xfinity Series debut. She got caught up in an incident with Allgaier early in the race. He apologized for it, said he felt bad. Still wasn't really sure what happened there, but unfortunately, it took her out of contention, really, and then or compromised her race, rather, and then was in another incident that took her out entirely. So we'll talk more about Julia's race on Thursday's Women in Motorsports show. But getting back to the race this past weekend at New Hampshire, a lot of big names, Brandon, like you were saying, there's so much going on to follow and talk about. A rough day for Ty Gibbs and William Byron, who looked like they might be competing for the win at one point. But both of them ran into trouble. Byron lost an engine. Ty Gibbs had some mechanical issues and finished multiple laps down. Colleague Racing had an absolutely miserable day. AJ Allmendinger got caught up in an incident with Alex LeBay. Daniel Hemrick made some contact with Noah Gragson and was involved in another incident that took him out entirely. And Landon Castle thought he finished third. He had a great day going, but ended up being disqualified, as was Gragson from his fourth place run. He and Castle's cars were too low in the front and in the rear, respectively, in post-race inspection. And then finally, we saw a 5-car pileup after a spin by Josh Berry led to hard hits for Ryan Sieg and Jeb Burton, among others. So, Brandon, were you surprised at just how chaotic this race was on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a little not very typical for New Hampshire, but when you think about it, these cars are so huge in their presence, and New Hampshire being as flat as it is and narrow as it is, it's also not hard to understand how chaotic it got. And really, they were just running out of room. And New Hampshire is just strange. But when you come out of turn 2, it's almost like a blind corner, if you will, with the fencing on the inside that moves out. It's really, I mean, if you're focused on your lane choice and you're moving out of turn 2, sometimes it's hard to see what's happening there on the back straight. So if somebody's already been shoved over or in a pile up, you probably won't see it till it's way too late. And those, oh, hello, cat. The brakes aren't going to be working as well. And that's why we see the thing with Myatt Snyder that happened. Another scary moment for Myatt Snyder. Glad he's okay. And I think also the incident with Julia Landauer, I think Allgaier claimed that she didn't go all the way. He thought she was going to go all the way back up to the wall, and it ended up being a collision there, just out of a misplaced by him of where he thought she was going to be. I guess it's the routine for drivers that aren't rookies to flush back up to the wall a lot closer than she did.
Yeah, well, of course, Landauer's an Xfinity rookie. She does have a lot of experience in K&N West and a little bit in the Pinty Series and even the Euro Series as well. And I think I'm hearing rumors that she'll get at least 1 or 2 more opportunities later this season with Alpha Prime Racing here.
She's not supposed to be on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like you were saying, there was a little bit of miscommunication, and I think there was a bit of debate as to whose fault it really was. You probably just chalk it up to an unfortunate racing incident. Like I mentioned, we'll talk more about Landauer's race on Thursday's show here at the Grid Network on Women in Motorsports. But yeah, I couldn't believe how violent the crash between Sieg and Burton was with how high up in the air Sieg was getting, and you don't think of New Hampshire as it's only a mile long and it's flat, so you're not carrying as much speed through the corners. But we really have seen some hard hits over the years. Unfortunately, everybody was okay, but just an absolutely chaotic race. And then you have some shuffling of the finishing results because 2 of the top 4 guys got disqualified. I think it's the first time since this new era of disqualifications, being official within a couple hours after the race, that we've seen 2 guys get disqualified. So that bumped everybody up a couple of spots in the leaderboard. And, the transition here, like I was saying, so many top teams having issues. You had a lot of small teams that enjoyed strong finishes. And I want to highlight in particular Kyle Weatherman, an 8th place finish for Jesse Iwuji Motorsports with Emmett Smith. Now, we've talked about JIM a couple of times this year, as well as Iwuji's struggles to get up to speed when he's been behind the wheel of the car himself. So, Brandon, when you look at what Weatherman has done in that car, in the opportunities that he's gotten, is this finish something that can give that 34 team the positive momentum they need? And should Weatherman be the one to drive the car the rest of the season?
It will be what gives them the positive momentum if they put Weatherman behind the 34. This is one of those scenarios where, and this is going to be kind of ironic because this driver did very well in this race. It's one of those scenarios where you're looking at the 6 car, you got to take Trevor Bayne out to put Matt Kenseth in. You got to make a mid-season switch because something is not working, and that's for the good of the team. You got to make a driver switch mid-season. I hope that JIM can see that and that they'll take the appropriate actions necessary to have a season where they can finish strong, make some gains in the data center and behind the wheel, and hopefully we can have Jesse Iwuji possibly next year in the car. But it may not be how it works, but yeah, they will have some positive momentum if they keep Weatherman there.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Trevor Bayne as well. A great second place run for him, once again continuing to knock down the door of getting a win in the Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs, and hopefully that leads to some more opportunities for him because he's been brilliant in his limited starts back here in NASCAR. But I want to be clear here when I say this because Joe and I actually got to meet Jesse in person when we were in Portland, and we were granted an interview with him, and I can tell you firsthand, he is just as good off camera as he is on camera. He's such a great guy. He's got an incredible story, and he has accomplished so much in his life and his career, and he deserves credit for all that. But
Yes.
We have to look at performance, and it was just the next day that he went out and there was that controversy with Ty Gibbs, who looked like he was going to run away with the race and ended up spinning him under caution. And it's not just that's not a one-time isolated incident.
Right.
There there have been multiple times this season where he's been slower than you'd want to see on track. Whereas when you put Weatherman in the car, obviously picking up a top 10, that is incredible for a first-year team with a standalone Xfinity program. I think that that team could really make some noise, and to have Emmett Smith involved in the ownership and to have Jesse as well. I think Jesse is a great guy to be involved in our sport, and behind the scenes working as a team owner. I know he's done some stuff for NBC as well. I don't know if there's another opportunity for him to take that on as well with his ownership roles that he's got right now. But I think there are a lot of opportunities for Jesse to have a nice career in the sport, doing great things and making a positive impact. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything from him behind the wheel this season that makes me think that's going to come from driving the race cars himself. Now, like I said, he's a fantastic guy, and our sport could really use somebody like him in the garage area. And I do believe that there is a place for him. But it's kind of hard to ignore the discrepancy from when he's been in the car himself this year versus when you put Kyle Weatherman in the car. So I think Weatherman has earned the opportunity to finish out the season in that car full time. Hopefully, Wuji can take a step back, recognize that, and put him in the car, because I think Kyle certainly deserves some more opportunities, especially after the run this weekend.
Right. And I think folks need to learn how to accept again that, like, just because you knock somebody for their driver talent does not in any means mean that you're knocking them as a person. The driver and the person, two different things, and they're two different businesses, really. So, like, as from a business standpoint, if your driver is not competing at the level they should be in that series, you got to make some sort of changes. I mean, that happens with any other job, and we have to look at it no differently. But as a person, I would like to meet Jesse as well. It looks like you guys had a great interaction with him in Portland, and he has a fantastic history, and he served our country well. He has a great story and continues to leave a lasting mark, and hopefully in NASCAR for quite some time.
Yeah, and I want to completely echo your points there. We don't condone any hateful messages that people are sending on Twitter or on social media, and Facebook and Instagram comments, or anywhere that they're coming from. Because a lot of times people see that happen at Portland, and some people took it to a whole nother level and got personal, and that's absolutely not
wrong.
That's not right at all. We need to make sure we recognize that there was a human being behind all of these screens and all of these interactions that you're having on Twitter. So, just because you type something and you think you're not saying it to their face, words like that can really hurt some feelings and not be too pleasant to look at, especially if you're in, a profession as high profile as these are. So, I want to make sure that we make that distinction clear. We can criticize somebody for underperforming in the race car. That's absolutely not a personal attack on them, whether it's a Wuji or anybody else. We want to acknowledge and do just the opposite for somebody like a Wuji. Like we've been saying, it's great to have him in the sport, and he has accomplished a lot of great things. But let's keep it separate. We can give our opinions on who should be in that car, but it doesn't need to go any further than that. Let's keep it respectful and not take it any further than it needs to go.
And if you see a public driver critique on their driving, that does not give you free license to attack them as a person on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
Well, let's move on here, and I want to talk briefly about a series we've talked about a couple of times this year. But as Adam mentioned yesterday on the wrap-up show in his one shining moment, Anthony Nocella took victory for the first time in his career in the Whelen Modified Tour race in New Hampshire this weekend. Several notable names competed in the race, including Ryan Preece, who, of course, made his name in the Modifieds before coming up to the top 3 series, and Corey LaJoie was in the race as well. Now, this is generally considered the biggest race of the year for the Modifieds, and with a thrilling finish, this year's race certainly did not disappoint either. So, Brandon, should there be more coverage of this race throughout the New Hampshire weekend from people like Fox and NBC or media partners and NASCAR themselves? Should they do more to publicize this race?
And I don't want to knock them. I think they do a lot already. I mean, compared to what they could be doing to publicize the Whelen Modified Tour, especially when they come to New Hampshire, I think they do quite a bit, but they could be doing much more. And this is definitely what you want to promote. If it's not Stafford, it's going to be New Hampshire that you want to promote for the tour mods. And if you've known me for any length of time, I really like the Whelen Modified Tour as far as the car itself. Now, I don't keep up with the series as much as probably someone who lives in New England, but this Tennessee guy really likes the Whelen Modifieds, and I would like to see them one day. I don't want the Florida knockoff. That's not a true Whelen Modified, but yeah, they really should promote it a lot more than they do. And I think it would draw a lot more attention to the New England style of racing.
And I must confess, I don't follow the Modifieds as closely myself, and I know we've this is only the second time I think that we've covered them and given the full race result rundown and everything, and it's usually come on the weekends where it's like the only other race. There's not an ARCA race or truck race or any of the Formula stuff going on, and so we need something else to talk about. And it's a Cup companion race as well, so that certainly doesn't hurt its publicity that it's getting. But I just think for New Hampshire in particular, a lot of guys, this is their Daytona 500 in their minds. When it comes to the Modifieds, and I think it would do a great service for the series and for NBC as well. If they, put it on USA and not make it tape delayed, airing 10 days after the fact, condensed into an hour-long time slot. I think it would be great for everybody involved, and it would expose the fans to the series a little bit more, and maybe they see something they like and they keep coming back, and maybe they even purchase a Flow Racing subscription, as overpriced as I think those are. It's an opportunity to showcase this series that you sanction in NASCAR, and is capable of putting on a great show and has a lot of great talented drivers. I mean, Mike Stefanik's finally in the Hall of Fame now. Richie Evans and Ted Christopher are legends of the sport. And, Justin Bonsignor is a multi-time champion. He could be a Hall of Famer one day for all we know if he keeps this up and keeps making a name for himself. So I think there's a lot of talent in the modifieds, and Ryan Preece has shown that if that talent is given an opportunity in the top 3 series, it can certainly take advantage of that. And, Ryan has done a fantastic job with the opportunities that he's been given. And it's great to see him continue to race in the modifieds when he gets a chance. But, I'd like to see the New Hampshire race on live TV. And I think, for ARCA West, the Sonoma race, I think that's probably their biggest race of the year. I think some of these series, you'd like to see their biggest race at the bare minimum. If the whole series can't be on live TV, like, I understand that, but once a year, give these drivers the opportunity to be on national television.
Right, just at least their crown jewel events.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the same way you show the Kentucky Derby, but you don't show every other horse. We don't show any when we show some, the Belmont Stakes and things like that. But you want to show the main one if you're going to show one live.
Right. Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not that big into horse racing.
I'm not either.
I watch the crown races, but I'm sure that I know they have a whole season and everything. But it's obviously those races are publicized and get all the attention. I think that you could establish the races to be even bigger than they already are if you televise them and expose a national audience to them on live TV. And again, I'm not talking, airing on a Wednesday afternoon at 2:00 on USA in a condensed broadcast. Put them on live TV. I think you're going to be surprised with the results and how many people come back wanting more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you can make it more of a tradition for people if you make it live. Like for most people in America, I know in our circle we can't conceive this, but for most people in America, the only IndyCar race they'll ever see all year is the Indianapolis 500, and it's because it's been built as that this is just an American tradition. This is just what we do on Memorial Day weekend. And so you could create a new tradition for a family. Who knows? We see the Whelen Modifieds at New Hampshire. This is their Daytona 500, quote unquote. This is their big deal. You could start something new for people that live nowhere near New England.
Yeah, and especially for those that do, local families in New England that are into racing. Obviously the modifieds are biggest and strongest in that region of the country anyway. But, I think, you build this new tradition, like you're saying, in New Hampshire. And I guess maybe build tradition isn't necessarily the right term because it's already there. But, continue to expand upon it and expose it to new people, I think, is only going to do bigger and better things for the series. And maybe we'll be talking about it on a weekly basis going forward if, they get some better coverage or a TV deal or whoever. Who knows what might happen, but it's, it is a very fantastic series with great racing, particularly when they come to New Hampshire. And I know the race certainly didn't disappoint this weekend either. Brandon, I know it's been a bit of a quick show here. Obviously not as much going on this weekend in the feeder series, but I do want to give you a chance to offer up a one shining moment. So what is that for you this weekend?
Yeah, we're about at 30 minutes. I got to give the shining moment to Trevor Bayne. It's another great performance for him in the Joe Gibbs 18. And he's gonna get a win, hopefully, out of all this effort. He's put up, if not, he's put up exactly, if not better than I'm sure what he was expecting, what his bosses were expecting, and probably what his team was expecting. This has been a great run so far for the slim chances that he's gotten, and it's got to have some sort of fruit in the 2023 as far as some sort of offer if he wants it.
Want to give a call to the guy you see on your screen right now, Myles Rowe, and there were questions at the middle of the point of this season in USF 2000 if he would even be able to complete the season because he was running short on funding. Fortunately, Roger Penske and a couple of others stepped in and made that happen for him. Now in his second season here, as you can see on the screen, he leads the championship point standings going into the triple header at Portland in about a month and a half's time. And I believe Joe will be there with the IndyCar coverage schedule pending to cover that. So we could see some history made out there. But good on Myles Rowe for not letting those down that believed in him. And, I think it's really proof that sometimes some great talent, all they need is a little bit of a boost, in terms of the finances to give them those opportunities and make the most out of them. It's great to see Myles Rowe continue to put on a good performance this year in USF 2000. And he might be walking away with a championship when it's all said and done. So good on him. That's my one shining moment this weekend.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it certainly is. And that's going to do it for us. Again, like I said, shorter show this weekend with not as much going on, but still be sure to follow us at Grid Network on all of our social media platforms. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, every single one you can think of. And if you really like what you saw tonight, you can subscribe to our Patreon. And thank you, as always, to Colin, Deshelle, Mark, and Robin, who have already done so. Thank you for investing in Grid Network and helping keep us on the air throughout 2022. If you'd rather make a one-time donation, you can buy me a coffee as well. Thanks, as always, to Edward, Amber, and Zachary, who have already done so. And finally, I apologize, I almost skipped the public.com sponsorship here. There we go. Getting that on the screen there. Visit public.com, a stock market social media home. The referral code GRIDNET in the link below will give you $5 to invest. You see it on the screen there as well. Public.com allows you to connect with your friends, make new friends, and use tools to learn how to invest in the stock market. Now, moving on to the previews for the rest of this week. On Wednesday, Kobe will host Grid Tonight with Adam. They'll be back doing that on Thursday. Joe and Daniel will have the Women in Motorsports show. And, of course, stay tuned for more Grid Live coverage as we head into next weekend as well. Brandon, any final thoughts before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, I just got to brag on the New Hampshire Xfinity race again. I just really had a lot of fun with this. I mean, it's been the first time in a while. I mean, Jeremy Clements finishing well, Sheldon Creed finishing well, Brandon Brown, Trevor Bayne. I mean, Ryan Sieg won the first stage. Like, what was going on? It just had a little bit of everything. It's not really something I expected from New Hampshire. So good on you, NASCAR. That was a great Xfinity race. And now we take the whole family to Pocono for the triple weekend.
Yeah, great race in New Hampshire, and maybe the Xfinity Series can build on that with their audience over the next couple of weeks. For Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDNET for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.